Hello boys and girls, welcome to another English language lesson for grade 7. And today we want to examine the parts of a book. I hope you are excited as I am. So let's get right into it. Now the basic sections of a book are its front matter, the body, and its back matter. I want you to remember that. Its front matter, its body, and its back matter. Not all books have the same front matter or back matter pages, but some, like the title page, copyright, and the About the Author page, are fairly standard. And when we say fairly standard, what we mean is that you'll find with most books, if not all, you'll find a title page, you'll find a copyright page, and you'll also find a page that tells you some information about the author. Now, do you know the parts of a book? I'm quite sure you would have interacted with books before, whether at home, in school, at the library, maybe even at your religious institution. Now, the following pages belong in your book's front matter section. Let's examine them. We have the title page. Now, this is the inside page with the title and the author's name displayed, and they are on the cover. Let's look at the copyright page. Contains the copyright date and other relevant information. You have the dedication page, and this page is optional. Every author will choose whether they want a dedication page or not. This contains a dedication to someone or something. Then you have my favorite, the table of contents, a list of all the parts in the book, including the front matter, the body, and the back matter. Novels with chapters designated by numbers only might omit this. Then you have the foreword. This is also optional. Every book would not have a foreword. This is a piece written by someone other than the author to both introduce and promote the book. You have the preface. This is also optional. An explanatory letter to the reader written by the author. Now let's look at the first page of a book. The very first page of a book will either be the title page or an optional page called the frontispiece, which is a decorative illustration relevant to your book. Now, sometimes you would look at the front of a book and you notice there's a beautiful image there, but the image is not random. It is connected to the content that you're about to read. Now, the illustration might take up the whole page or only part of it. It could also be a map of the story's setting. You're most likely to find a frontispiece in a printed novel, but if it's there, you'll find it's printed on the side facing your title page, where you'll find the title, author's name, subtitle, or tagline printed as it appears on your cover. Let's examine the copyright page. The copyright page is on the underside of the title page in a printed book. If your book has any of the following information, you'll find it on this page: copyright date, name of publisher or publishing company, name of printer or printing company. Now you'll find the edition number and the copyright dates of previous editions. You'll find the ISBN number. Now the barcode with this number will be on the back cover of a paperback. Now the next time you read a book, I want you to turn to the back of that book or even to the front. even when you go to the copyright page. And you'll notice a little barcode at the bottom. And on it, it would say ISBN, and then you'll have a long number. Now, if you go to Google and type that number in, you'd find that that book would pop up. You'll also find a statement regarding the use of the book's content and a warning against unlawful copying, pirating, or plagiarism. And as you know, plagiarism is very dangerous. You cannot take someone's intellectual property and not reference or give them the credit that they deserve for their work. Now let's talk about the foreword and other introductions. A foreword is an introduction to a book written by someone else, like a well-known author in a specific genre or an expert in the book's subject matter. Now let's say if I were to write a book about plants, I would want someone to do my foreword who is an expert, who probably has a doctoral degree studying plants, or even a master's degree, or they have a wealth of experience in this field. So when they read my book, they can now, in writing this foreword, speak to you to let you know that this is a book that you should read on plants because the information is accurate. Now, if your book has both a foreword and a preface written by the author, the foreword will come first. So if there's a preface and a foreword, which one comes first? The foreword. The preface provides information on why the author wrote the book or what led to its creation to provide context and lead to the book's introduction or prologue. Now let's examine the body pages. Now most of the content of a book will be in its body, which includes the following parts. You have the introduction or prologue, and this is the beginning of the book or a story. You have parts and chapters. The main block of content for your book or story. You have the conclusion, and you find with conclusions, these are found in non-fiction books, or epilogue, and you'll find them in fiction. You may not find them with every fiction book, but they're there in some. Likewise with the conclusion as it relates to non-fiction books. And both of them, they talk about the closing of the book or story. You have the afterword. So imagine we have a foreword and we can also have an afterword. And this is optional. This is the author's note about the book, which may take the place of a preface. You have postscript, and this is optional as well. An author's additional note to provide new information on the story after the narrative ends. Now let's talk about the back matter pages at the back of the book. The following pages belong in your book's back matter section. Appendix or appendum, supplemental information or documentation to support the book's content. You have acknowledgments and or a list of contributors. A list of those who contributed to the book in some way or whose help and support you want to publicly acknowledge. You have the bibliography or the reference list, a list of the sources cited in your book. Because what you'll find, many times persons would use quotes from other persons, and they will use quotes to support the content that they would have written. So it's only fair to reference it, because like I said earlier, if you don't reference or give credit, that is called plagiarism. You have the endnotes, or in some books they're just stated as notes. A list of notes correlating by number to each source citation in the book's content. You have the copyright permissions. Proof that the author obtained permission from other content creators to use their copyrighted material in their book. You have the glossary, and this is optional. An alphabetical list of industry-specific words or jargon defined for the benefit of your readers. Let me go back to the example of plants. If I'm writing a book on plants, there are certain scientific words associated with this study, and I would want to provide some context for someone reading my book. Let's say the person reading my book they're not really au fait with plants. They can go to the glossary and they can say, oh, so this is what this word means when he uses it in the book. You have the index, which is also optional, an alphabetical list of keywords used in the book, along with the page numbers where readers will find those words in context. You can have the teaser. Now this is optional, and you'll find authors that would use a teaser. This is if they're planning to write like a sequel or a trilogy. Let's say I want to write another book about plants that will follow up my first book. I may want to give you a little tease of it in the current book. You can have the About the Author page. This is where the writer of the book would share information about themselves. Let's talk about the parts of a book cover. So now that we've covered the book's interior, let's have a look at the outside. Now, while for an ebook, I always say ebook, this is an online book, an author would only have to worry about creating the front cover. With a printed book, it has a front cover, a back cover, and a spine. Now, the front cover has the title, author's name, subtitle, or tagline. The back cover has a few paragraphs of promotional sales copy to further entice potential customers into buying and reading the author's book. So I'm sharing all of this with you because the next time you pick up a book, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, I want you to examine it. I want you to look at the front cover. I want you to look at the back cover. When you open it, I want you to check to see if there's a preface, if there's a prologue, if there's a table of content, if there's acknowledgement. I want you to look at the content, how it's formatted, because a lot of work goes into creating a book for our enjoyment. Now, when we talk about the spine, it's thick enough for readable text, and it will have the book's title and the author's name. So I want you to think about the spine as that back part of the book, that part that we hold up in our hand. Now, the physical parts of a book. The physical parts of a printed book include its cover, the pages within, and its binding. It might also include a dust jacket, and this is especially for hardcover books. The parts of book binding include the following: book cover or book boards, the outer coverage of a book. You have the joint, the exterior part of the book that bends or creases when the book is open. You have the hinge, the interior part of a book's joint, its inside edge. You have the head, the top part of the book, the tail, the bottom part of a book, and I want us to look for all of these parts the next time you pick up a physical book. The spine, the edge of the book where all the pages are joined together. The foredge, the edge opposite the spine. The book block or text block, the block of internal pages. You also have signatures, stacks of 2 or more sheets of paper folded and grouped together for sewing or attaching to the spine. Now, if you look at some books, and if you look closely at the spine, you can see that the pages were sewn together. You have the end paper or the end sheets. The interior end sheets set between the covers and the printed pages of the text block. In this lesson, we covered a lot as it relates to the parts of a book. And I want you, the next time you pick up a book, to make sure to check for these parts. And I want you to be respectful of books. Many times, persons can tear pages out of books, throw them around the place, but I want us to have respect because a lot of time and effort goes into the creation of that work of art. So like I always encourage my students, read a book today and watch how it will empower you. Until we meet again, I'm Sir Jared. and I'm out.